The views and opinions expressed by Pete Moxley and Poophead of the Week do not represent the views of the staff and management of YouTube, Google, Facebook, Revolution Wrestling, or any other corporate or affiliated entities. And now the poop quote of the day, brought to you by Dennis Rodman. Chemistry is a class you take in high school or college, where you figure out 2 plus 2 is 10 or something. We begin with an honorable mention. I made a boo-boo last week. Almost a fatal one, if I hadn't preceded my poophead by stating that I was making a return after almost 4 years in self-imposed exile. It still doesn't take away from the spiritual thrown fit that the 20-year-old me would have had if he had heard my comment last week about how instead of bartering our own American goods for some nice Qatari oil and fish, we could just simply live off our own produced oil and the fish that may already still be living under the sea, dead because of the oil spill of 5 years ago. Only it wasn't our oil. How could I forget about BP's role in all of this? BP, who owned the prospect, which housed the rig, which drilled the oil, which then exploded and engulfed the platform and gushed out close to 5 million barrels of oil into the Gulf of Mexico. I would say something about how the BP logo used to be draped over a gas station here in Streeter, whose owners, I've been told, supposedly have a secret room full of pornography. But I don't want to dive into perversion with a side order of Baba Ganoush. I just want to apologize for my error and for my admitted lack of memory during last week's commentary. If you do need someone to thank for catching my mistake, I'll redirect you to a beautiful woman who lives in Peoria, who can tell you about the dangers of heavy metal elitism, all the while possibly wearing a t-shirt and basketball shorts, because not having a pair of jeans in your car in the event of emergency post-work bar hopping is so overrated. I'm kidding, Miss Mullen. It doesn't matter how you look. As long as you keep wearing lipstick, Brandon will keep loving your smoochy long time. Speaking of lipstick, I hate politics. You know, politics, the proverbial give-and-take kiss-assery complex between elected officials and those whose votes and monetary contributions gave these officials their one-way tickets to Washington, D.C. Years ago, my hatred of politics was mostly stemming from the notion that a bulk of the heavyweights in Congress would rather act like Bill Cosby stole their Jell-O pudding and raped their girlfriends than do the work that people voted for them to do. But the effects of the Citizens United case have reared their ugly head since I was last on broadcast radio. 257 of the current 538 members of both the Senate and the House of Representatives have been elected in this new era of big money politics. Yes, money has always played a big role in elections, but what is passively underestimated is that money is what drives the making of the posters, the buttons, and those annoying, blood-curdling attack ads come voting season. For you simple simpletons and ordinary average citizens with radio and TV, money drives a message. The richer the donating bodies, the more money they'll put into candidates whose message reflects the views of said donors. Sure, we the people have a voice every so often, but just verbally acknowledging the bullshit you hear, and then going back to play Skyrim, is not necessarily the most human prime call to action. If the founding fathers of this country were alive to see the grade school antics of the present political climate and the blind ignorance of a bulk of the national electorate, abortion would be more than just legal. It would come with a mandatory prescription for a box of Trojans. The extra lubrication feels just like crazy glue. With next year's presidential election tapped to be perhaps the biggest in terms of campaign contributions, I want to give some quick hits, based on the human equation, about the projected field of possible contenders. Hillary Clinton uses emails at a time when virtually every other way of communicating is preferable. On the other hand, Bill was president during the birth and boom of the internet, and he kept hope alive for most young males that even at age 50, cherry pie will still be more than just desserts. Jeb Bush, 5 years more youth than Hillary, although thousands of much younger private citizens and soldiers died under his brother's watch. And Terry Schiavo died under Jeb's own watch. Ted Cruz. His party has tried to repeal Obamacare. Meanwhile, he signs up for it. Probably because he just figured out denouncing your Canadian citizenship also means your health care becomes as invalidated as your free Tim Hortons coupons. Al Gore. If he truly invented the internet, he could probably put a stop to all these lawsuits against the FCC's net neutrality rules. Otherwise, just keep him in his lockbox. Marco Rubio runs on water. Chris Christie runs on Duncan. Ben Carson, just there to be the token black guy. Bernie Sanders, likable and one of 2 independents in the Senate. But Vin Scully was 77 when he stopped traveling outside of California to call Dodgers games. Bobby Jindal, even his signature gave up on him. Mike Huckabee, the Chuck Norris endorsement wouldn't work anymore. That picture of him beardless, what can't be unseen. Rick Santorum supported No Child Left Behind and ironically gave an Angels and Adoption Award to Jerry Sandusky. Will someone think of the children? Donald Trump. You'd only vote for him because he owns the only blonde possum in captivity. As an old philosopher once bellowed, some might cost a little, some might cost a lot, but I'm the $1 million man, and you will be bought. The 2016 presidential field, otherwise known as the starting gate for next year's Kentucky Derby. Well, we all wish all elections were as easy as putting multimillionaires in a game of steeplechase. Poopheads of the week.